Hi, my name is Sammy, and today I'm going to be making a soda biscuit recipe. And we found this recipe in Food on the Frontier, Minnesota Cooking from 1850 to 1900. It's a fun book. It's by Marjorie Kreidberg. And Marjorie got this recipe from Buckeye Cooking and Practical Housekeeping, which was first published in 1877. So this is a 19th century recipe, which should be relatively easy for people to replicate at home. It doesn't require a whole lot of ingredients and just an oven. Hopefully these will turn out though. Biscuits were really common for folks like the Gibbs in the mid to late 19th century to have for breakfast or to have with tea and coffee midday. So let's make some biscuits and hopefully they'll turn out. Hey, here are the ingredients for the soda biscuits. We have 4 cups or 1 quart of flour, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of cream of tartar, and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Together, those do make something that is like baking powder, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. 1 tablespoon of butter. The recipe said you could also use lard. I did make this cold based off my other biscuit making experience. And then we have half a pint or 1 cup of cold milk. The recipe said sweet milk. I went with whole milk. The Twin Cities were well known for their flour mills in the 19th and early 20th century, so flour could have been easily obtained locally. But baking powder was a whole other story. Women at this time had all sorts of different ingredients and recipes that they used to make homemade baking powder, like the one we use today, which was a teaspoon of baking soda and 2 teaspoons of cream of tartar. But one St. Paul manufacturer called Snowflake really tried to get into the market of making baking powder that could be purchased for use at home. And they actually said that their product was so pure that they would offer $1,000 to anyone who could prove that their product was, and I quote, anything but a strictly pure cream tartar powder. Just waiting until I can feel the butter sort of evenly distributed through the flour. Then I'll add the milk. And to start, I'll stir with a spoon here, and then when it gets a little less wet, I will use my hands. So this still seems a little dry for me, so I'm gonna add a little bit more milk. We're going to add about another 1/4 cup of milk just to see if that helps us out a little bit. I think to get a better judge of the how wet the dough is here, I'm gonna put it onto a surface so that I can start to roll it out a little bit. There we go, it's a little bit better here. You don't want to overmix it too much. I had to do a little bit more kind of messing around with it than I would normally do. Okay, our dough is looking a little bit better here. It's definitely a little bit more textured than some of the other biscuits that I've made like with more modern recipes, so I guess we'll see. Seems to me a little bit more like a drop biscuit kind of texture. So I'm gonna just pat it out here till it's about 1 inch thick. So that'll take a little bit of time here. And then I won't be using a biscuit cutter today because we don't have one. But if you don't have one, also you can just use a cup. That's like a good biscuit size. And then I will be laying them on a parchment lined baking sheet. So I'm going to continue to cut these out and sort of pat out and roll out the dough so that I can get as many as possible. So I got 10 biscuits out of this recipe, and biscuits don't generally rise too much, so you don't have to worry about them being closer together on the baking sheet here. And I've just lined this baking sheet with parchment paper. Okay, and now it's time to put them in the oven. So the recipe calls for them to be baked in a quick oven for 15 minutes. We did a little bit of research, and a quick oven is usually 375 to 400 degrees. I think we're gonna go and try 400 degrees and see what happens. Okay, the biscuits are out of the oven and we put some butter and jam on them. And now my friends Janie and Claire are going to give them a try with me and we'll see how they taste. Okay, let's give these a try. They looked a little dense, so we'll see what happens.
These are actually pretty good.
Yeah, they actually are. They're better than I expected.
They're crunchy, a little crunchy on the outside and soft on the inside. They are a little bit chewy, but still pretty delicious. I would be very proud if I made these, so good job, Sammy.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me on my biscuit journey today. It was pretty fun and they actually turned out tasty. Just like I kind of mentioned, I think I overmixed them a little bit because it was so dry and I had to add about a half a cup more milk. So I think if I would have added that milk to begin with and didn't have to stir so much, they would have been perfect. But even though they aren't the cutest things, I actually really recommend this recipe. You should give it a try if you can. Thanks so much. If you liked this video, please be sure to give it a like and to subscribe to our channel so that you won't miss any more fun videos from us.